audio. This is us testing our audio. We need to figure out the relative levels. In fact, let's turn down desktop a bit while we figure that out. Audio, we're talking and saying stuff, and it's audio, and the microphone is picking it up. Okay, live stream offline. Give it a second. Give it like... Okay, so do you hear us? How is the volume? We can adjust these volumes. I guess you're actually looking at the control where we do that. We're speaking some words so that there are words coming out of our mouth while there are words coming out of the game volume. Also let us know if there's any rigging or anything. We do have a soundboard so we can fix it if we need to. Voice a bit louder or getting a bit softer. Do a little bit of both, I guess. How's this? How's this? Audio? Voice, 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 voice. We can't think of anything super interesting. Great. Okay, so this is a how-to stream today. We are figuring out how to mod Legend of Zelda 1 to remove the flashing when you collect the triforce for accessibility reasons. So we don't know in advance how to do this. We're just modeling our methodology and our workflow, really. This is FCEUX, which is, you know, the best debugging emulator. For some fast Googling, we've used this before. There doesn't seem to be anything like super prevalent other than this. You'll notice this has a frame count in the bottom. That's for people making TASs. We don't really need it here. We prepared this save state right before the Triforce. Just as a warning, like, we are going to see the flash animation repeatedly in this stream. In fact, we're going to show it like now so that we can like demonstrate what we're doing. So here's the debugger, which is, you know, disassembly. This is not a live view because it's currently running. This is the PPU, so the NES's video chip. And you can see it's got these palettes. We noticed from running through this previously that these top right palettes basically get overwritten with just white for the duration of the video effect. So we have a save state like here, and we're going to pause and press up on the controller. We're holding it now. You can't see it because it's not, you know, input, but we have a hotkey bound to single frame forward. So we're going to do that. Alright, maybe we're going to unpause while we... Oh, our controller disconnected from Bluetooth. Let's fix that. Good. Pause, hold up, single frame. You can hear the music changing there if you're really attentive, but it probably doesn't come out on the stream. Alright, so we're going to stop holding anything on the controller now so we have our hand back. Now watch that PPU thing, and here's what it's doing. It's kind of... Oh, do I have to be in this window for that to work? I guess so. If we look at the debugger window now, we can see that it's... I don't actually know why the PC isn't moving when I do this. So that went too far, obviously. We didn't get to see the PPU thing. So let's go back. I'm still trying to figure out the exact keys on the debugger here. So let's do that again. Right. Oh, this is, I think this is not like updating live, this PPU viewer, because I believe it's already done this. Right, so there it is. And you can see it's just overridden those colors, which were the dungeon colors, with white, and this is what one frame of that looks like. This is actually, by the way, this hotkey is stepping forward an entire frame at a time. So, 6,000 instructions or whatever it was. And if we open the PPU viewer again, okay, it has set the palette back to this. So it's not like swapping palettes, it's actually, using the palette. It's overwriting the existing palette. It's not like rotating it to this other copy of it on the bottom here, which I think makes sense because that's a sprite palette, not a background palette. So, okay, so it's got the background palettes and it's just overwriting them. So what we were doing in the other window was refreshing our memory on how the PPU, how you write to the palettes. So this is the FCEUX documentation. Let's check chat because we haven't looked in a minute and there could be stuff we missed. Yeah, we're not yet stepping through the assembly code, Tetra. We're just we're just like going at higher granularity to get background on what it's doing and why. We will get to stepping through it probably as soon as we have a clearer idea of exactly what instructions we're looking for. So there's something about, yeah, here it is. (2006, 2007). We might have to find some other documentation on the NES, but this seems like reasonably complete. So what the NES does to write to the palette is it uses a couple addresses in the CPU's main only address space. The 6452 only has one address space, and those addresses are like ROM, but if you write to them, they are sent to the PPU instead of trying to do an actual write. Or I think actually in addition, because the actual write has no effect, but that's not really the point. So I'm just trying to refresh my memory of the details, and I think this is not the best document for it here. Registers sounds right. All right, this is a useful wiki. Right. So what you do is you write two VRAM through. So you write two consecutive addresses into there, and then you write to 2007. So okay, that refreshes my memory a bit. So what I'm looking for is actually like STA 2006. And I guess this is probably not anything super special. I'm going to try to do a conditional write to PPU memory. You know what, let's write to like all of PPU, but let's just do this. Get a sense of this. And also let's, this is like much closer before, so let's use state slot 1. I don't understand this GUI exactly, but hey. Alright, so this is like closer before where it is. And so we've got that breakpoint set, and let's hit go. Alright, Oh, cool, cool. It has some symbolic stuff going on here. It knows that PPU data is 2007, so we didn't super need to look that up, but it was useful. I wonder if it will show me the register that's the address there. I kind of doubt it. Okay, so like it's this caret here is the line we're on, by the way. So branch not equal AOCE. So this is a loop of some sort. I don't know what it is, but it's clearly not what I want. So let's go until AOD9. I think I'd better check the FCEUX2 is doing what I hope it's doing here. So because it'll waste time otherwise. Oh, wrong. We're also getting used to this completely new keyboard, so any completely embarrassing typos we make are because we have a bizarre keyboard that does bizarre things, because we don't like anything to be easy. Alright, that's not actually what I was looking for. That's like... Oh, I get it. I actually want to set a breakpoint. Seek is just for viewing, apparently, so it's not what I was expecting. Just double click on any address. Okay, got it. So I do want to get to this PLA immediately after the BNE. Yes, perfect. Alright. Can we deactivate this one? No. Yes, we can. Oh, cute. Okay, so the E bit there is, E flag there is the active thing. So, so here we are there. Right. So we could have started from an overall memory map. We're like not really doing that. We're just kind of diving in because I feel like if we give this too much thought, we're just gonna stall on trying to study it too long. BNE AOEA, so it's conditionally skipping this thing, which is writing to, STA, STX. Can you see the registers? That would be useful. Perhaps not. No, that's not what I was really looking for. There's also stuff like Memory Watch, which is a really cool feature, but that's not super relevant here. But that's great for like, I know roughly what this variable must be. Let's figure out where it is. But yeah, it doesn't work on the PPU as far as we're aware. This is not what I was looking for either. I really wanted something that would... That's cute. I really wanted something that would like I'm thinking that these instructions could easily be it. So BNE, the E flag, the Z flag is set. So it will probably not do that BNE. Correct. So now let's check the PPU. This is just setting up the address and not anything that will actually write to the palette. But let's double check what I'm going to check what the debugger says about how I can get the actual values in the registers. CPU state. It says it has that. Right. Oh, right. We keep forgetting how few registers there are. Contents of memory starting at the stack pointer is displayed in the stack frame below the AXY registers. So it's just badly labeled. No. Oh, AXY. Here it is. I keep forgetting how little stuff this is. Okay, so it's storing A, the PPU address, and then X. So 3F. And then 0 3 times. Let us refresh our memory on how the PPU address thing works. It's been... Thank you, you were pointing it out to us. Yeah, we knew it had to be just that we weren't used to what that window looked like. But anyway. Yes, AOD9 was the address at that point. We're now on AODE. That's the... So... That 06:AODE, that's saying ROM bank 6, physical, well, the CPU's view of the address is AODE, and then the NES's memory mapping hardware swaps things out within that address space. So it's bank 6, which means a different thing depending on what cartridge it is, because each cartridge has its own memory mapper chip. Bank 6, address AODE, and it's a little bit weird to think of the bank as containing the address because it's only one window of address space that is swapped out. But anyway, yes, this is ROM that it's looking at. The bytes after that are the actual assembly opcodes. This is a 3-byte instruction here. So that's how to read this debugging. This disassembly. We are not 100% that 06 is the bank. That's just the logical thing for it to be. So A is 3F, X is 0, and let's re-understand this. Right, store A. Right, so... Okay, but that's weird, because why would it be doing it twice? Because it's writing 4 bytes, these instructions, and I don't understand why it would be 4 bytes instead of like 2. Alright, well, regardless, let's see what we can see here. Let's just step through it and see what it does. This seems to like only happen as we open it, which is, I don't know, maybe this will do it. But try to just adjust this window size. Let's see everything. Alright, there we go. Alright, so that's like weird because it suggests to us that the PPU view, address is now 00. Oh, that's cute. It's showing the current value of that address, except that address is a register, so it's weird. I don't remember what SEC does. Let's see what it does. Nothing super important. Modex, PPU status. Yeah, indeed it was 0. I don't necessarily care. This may be like looping to the next scan line, something like that. Just thinking out loud here, it could be totally wrong. So we branched backwards a bit. No, this is forwards. This is a separate thing. Alright, so. I don't know why it's doing those writes to the PPU address. Feel that I'm not actually doing anything with it, but that is a thing and it's doing it. I'm just going to keep going until we actually do something to the PPU. Alright, there we go. In fact, I'm going to jump from one of these to the next. I feel like I should probably be like referring to a Zelda memory map at this point, so that I can know whether I'm inside it or outside it. I mean, whether this is something that is previously debugged or not. I guess I really wanted disassembly. Also, Zelda memories are a thing in certain games. Looks okay. Right, but okay, so this is a tool that does it. This is not. Oh, hey, no, there was an ASM file in there. Let's go back and look at that. No, this is like super not actually useful. Hey. This is like not actually very helpful stuff at all. Where was I in the... Hold up a sec, just turning down the heat. All right, we're back. Okay. Yes, the colored squares are in fact PPU addresses. I mean, I could look those up, but the point is that you write through this indirect process, so it's a little bit hard to trace through and figure out where those are written, other than kind of triangulating, going back and forth. Are you hearing ringing on our audio? We feel like we are, although it's hard to tell. Yeah. I mean, it could be that simple, but it happens not to be. Yeah. You know what? I think that the breakpoints do understand that concept though, so I may actually just do this. I feel like this disassembly is like not the most helpful thing. This is not sprite palette. I feel like this is not the easiest thing to understand. We're going to work on this instead. But, so, any PPU right, but let's actually, I wish I knew where, oh good, it's, okay, so 3F09 through 3FOF. Let's see if we can remember that for 2 seconds while tabbing out. 3F09, 3FOF. This is like going to seem like comically inept to anybody watching because it's like taking us a long time to get to something that feels like it should be obvious, but okay, you write to the last 2 background palettes. What is this one? This is just, we can delete this. So, run. Okay, so yeah, now it's attempting to write F6 to that. Step over it and be like, it's actually just like run until this is like nice AOD3, huh? I mean, we haven't gotten an entire frame. We would be hearing audio if we had. So this is like, all right, well now we have, but I feel like this is probably not the address in question. Oh, hey, look. It is. This is actually where that write happens, but it's doing some sort of bulk copy. And this is like the first moment where it was relevant. Okay, so AOD3, we're going to like, yeah, sure. Let's do that. We can now more precisely break there and be like, okay, so I mean, presumably if we advance an entire frame or we try to, it hits this. So now my question is, where is this coming from? LDA, what? LDA 0 page addressing indexed by Y, and then decrement X, and branch back to AOCE. So we've got this little type loop here. Branch carry set AOD1. AOD1? Oh no, I see. That just skips the increment Y. I was failing to alphabetize mentally for a moment there. You you know, we've never done this. We're very pleased with ourselves for actually remembering the damn opcodes. Pardon our cursing. Hopefully YouTube allows cursing. So let's read this loop. Okay, so AOCE. So if we overflow, then stop incrementing y, but we're still going to decrement x every iteration. Oh, this is hard to think about without block structure. So is x even being used? Oh, it's just a counter. It's just a counter. So it TAX LS. I'm not sure where A is coming from, but I think I'm just going to be like here, break here, and turn off the other one. So that didn't work. So AOCA did not actually break where we wanted it to. So AOCA was not the helpful thing. There's, what is LSR? I should know this. I feel like it's probably a branch instruction. Oh, BCS AO. No, that's part of our loop. I would love to know like what code runs before this, because that's like, this is clearly the write that's in question, but we need to figure out where it's getting that data from, and it's on the 0 page, and it's indexed by y, and great, but what's loading it onto the 0 page? 6B83. Yeah, we know we're kind of trying each idea, and it's taking us a while, just because we want to work through it. That's just kind of the way our brain works, and we want to prove that the naive approach is going to be unproductive. It helps us load our mental state appropriately. I don't know. Again, it feels embarrassing to be going so slowly over all this, but LDA 0Y, yeah, we're trying to figure out where the 0 page gets set up. And I guess, like, yes, go for it. That's not going to work anyway. Yeah. So what I can actually do is I can say, let's break here. But I would like to know like how it gets there. AOEA, so it's doing that part, and then it's like, let's see the, yeah. So here's our 0 page, and these are the bytes it was copying, because y was set to some very small values like 6, so it's on this first row of, this is RAM, okay, so, but this is really more of like, I mean, I guess I can put a watch on the 0 page, but it's used for everything, so that's not really going to help us. Except it might, because we're in the middle of an effect and gameplay is presumably paused. So let's put that breakpoint. Okay. Write to RAM and run. Okay, so LDA 3F. This is like, it's hard to get a sense of what this is doing. It's not like legible anything. Let's just click run a few times here because we can always back up and see like what it's doing here. I guess I can make this a little bit shorter. Good. I feel like this is like one way to get a pulse of like what the running code is actually doing. It's not a super easy strategy but it's a thing. It would be nice to have like, yeah, scanline 5. Alright, so we can kind of count like how far into the frame it is by how far the PPU has gotten. And I presume that what's happening is towards the end of the frame. Oh, CPU cycles, that's actually much better. And these are both relevant ways to count. But here, let's do like this. Deactivate that and break in like 500 cycles. Scanline 30. Yeah, I mean, I would expect there to be like, what is it, 4,000 a frame, something like that. Let's also break. That's not the helpful one, is it? Yes, it is. Okay, so enable that one and run. Okay. Alright, so that was like, I think we probably went past an entire frame there. Scanline 247, that's like near the bottom. I bet there's a way to like just run for 100 or something. I'm gonna check the manual for details. This trace logger might actually be super useful. Yeah, that is. That's exactly what we want. Let's try that feature instead of what we were doing. So let's load that state. PPUs hasn't happened yet. Trace logger, log last, sure. 10,000, start logging. We are in fact paused. Cool, log state of registers. Log frames count, I want the frames count. We don't have symbols loaded, so we can't do anything symbolic. But that looks basically good. So this is our main breakpoint, everything else is disabled. Okay. So that breakpoint was hit. And if we like go to AOD9 there, then has it happened yet? No. Okay. Again. No. What's in the? Yeah, nothing like super obvious what it is. All right, now it's happened. So now let's check the trace window. That looks like a very useful tool here. So AOD7, right. So it copied that, I presume. Let's see, what is the address of the 3F09, right? Ooh, did we edit that badly? We did. No wonder it's breaking too much. So 3F09 in PPU memory somewhere. So we're looking like here-ish. It's like these values. Yeah, so that's the actual hex. So it's, I presume it's this. It's this end of this row here. Oh yeah, 3F09 through 3F0F, of course. Okay, so the bytes that are being written, and this loop is, as far as I can tell, just writing like consecutive bytes. It's copying it from the 0 page. Yeah. Load A, store A, fine. So it's literally just, this is just a copy X bytes loop. Sorry, it's a copy Y bytes loop. Is it doing it forwards or backwards? I need to know that. Forwards. And then what happens is, oh, DX. Okay, so Y is the source counter and X is the total count. Fine. Yeah. So let's check, because this is happening on the 0 page. I don't see like OF30 anywhere obvious, so I think my understanding of where it's copying from is wrong. Y is OA. So the 6502 CPU has various indexed addressing modes. I'm looking at line AOD1, which is LDA 0 page indexed, comma Y. And you know what? I need to look this up now that I think about it. I may be misunderstanding this indexed load instructions. This is a memory read. And it's loading from that, and then it's writing to the PPU register. And every write to the PPU register auto increments to the address that future writes to it will go to in PPU space. So it's writing in ascending order, and it's reading in also ascending order. I know that because it's incrementing Y at line AOD0 every time through the loop. In the file on disk, yeah, 06 is the bank, and so all the banks are the same size. And so yes, I could look at the ROM header and deduce that, and I will when I get to that. But this is probably a general purpose loop because I've seen this breakpoint fire for other things. So changing it here, like just making it not load anything, will probably break like everything that writes a palette in general, because it's just some subroutine. It's the equivalent of memcopy. So yes, in general, I can go from this to where it is in the file, but I'll look that up when I have like what I actually need to change. I hope that made sense. I can go over it slower if I have to. Testing. Yeah, I'm not seeing any red lights on the soundboard, but I feel like I'm hearing ringing, but that's pretty subjective. I turned a knob down a little bit of a way, so I hope that helped. Grab some water. It's 0.6 is not, it's not an offset the way that it would be on like an Intel machine. It's the NES memory map. In fact, I can pull it up for you just to talk through the explanation, because that's probably like easier. Like I can have this visual aid while I explain what's going on here. So the 6502 has a 16-bit address space, 0000 to FFFF. And there are like a couple like types of memory in a cartridge. The video ROM and the CPU ROM are actually totally different. But anyway, PRG ROM is like, it's all in this range from 4020 onward. Let me double check that that address is actually in this range. So not, yeah, AOD9, that's definitely in this range. So basically the upper 3/4 of the address space are kind of up to the cartridge, and circuitry in the cartridge is responsible for mapping the physical address, mapping the CPU's view of the address to which chip and how far into it. Because the address space would only be 64 kilobytes. 16 bits can address 64 kilobytes, and I hope I got that right. And so it has to do this swapping thing where it replaces one region of RAM with, well, one region of address space rather, with another, so that you can have a game that's larger than 64 kilobytes. And so the cartridge ROM is like, it wouldn't be totally useless to look up which mapper Zelda 1 uses, but let's just pick an example, a typical one. MC1 was Nintendo's first official one. And so it's up to circuitry in the cartridge, kind of what the address space looks like. These are the definitions of the various features, but that wasn't what I was really looking for. I was really hoping for, yeah, so basically it's swapping in like about 16K at a time. And so the 6 is just, like, literally all it is the state of the mapper circuitry in the cartridge, but in practice that comes down to a single index number because it's some number of banks, and there are ways that you can have like more than one bank mapped in, but anyway, FCEUX has thoughtfully abstracted that for us. I hope that helped a bit. Great. Okay, so I was looking at the trace window. That's what I was doing. It's always nice to remember what we were doing. And we have just gone past the code we wanted, so hopefully the the trace actually has the history. So what I want to know is, like, when did we write to PPU address 3F09 or 3F10 really, but and the answer is, of course, this AOD3 is the opcode that does it, and it's 2007 is the how we write to the PPU space. But it's not. Well, I guess it is. I'm just going to scroll up and see every execution of that. Yes, here, good. Oh, look, that's not actually what we wanted, I don't think. Oh, you know what I was looking up? I was looking up that addressing mode because it may be dereferencing it one extra time or something. It's been a long time since we did this, and we shouldn't assume that we remember exactly what that notation means. Right. Taking the 8-bit 0 page from the instruction adding the current value of. Right, but it had. Right, this is like indirect index. This is the one. 0 page location of the least significant byte. The Y register is dynamically allocated to generate the actual target address. And this is a load, so it's. Alright, so in other words, I'm actually looking at a pointer on the 0 page, not the actual values. So that explains why I wasn't finding what I was hoping for. And I mean, I doubt that it's still set up, but maybe. So 8272. That's in ROM. Okay, it's like 8272. Right, so this is flattening everything. This is just going by file offsets, which, remember, an actual ROM file like flattens all the chips and just has them one after the other. At all the banks also, which there's several banks in each chip. So it's not helpful to me without looking some stuff up. So I'm going to look in the trace window instead. I mean the debug window. A272. It's little endian. A272. So I mean it's in the area that's like nearby, and that suggests to me this is something useful-ish. And in this case, I'm assuming this is data, so I'm not like going to look at the disassembly column. I'm just going to look at the bytes. But like, a nice fast way to see that. Yeah, like 3F. Oh, hey, look. We have some consecutive. Yeah. So 8276. Okay, so this is the point where I have to actually look up the how many kilobytes are in a bank, basically, and figure out how to find this in the ROM address, because I'm going to try patching it if I can find it. Cool, this has its own thing, but that wasn't really what I was looking for. So I should probably like help me remember that like A275 and has that pattern basically repeated twice. So I think that's basically what we probably need to change. And yeah. Although really what we want to do is like find accesses to this and just make it not do that copy, because I suspect there's nothing. But let's test the theory that we have so far before we go further. Let's try overwriting this in the ROM. And like now I need to be like, what address is the? Yeah, I got that. Box 6. No, that's not what I was doing at all. Just looking for like the RAM viewer. No, not that one. Oh, this one, hex editor. Yes, of course. But like, I should be writing this down, honestly. Like here, I can do it in this form. So that's fine. That will help us remember that when we need to find where it's actually done. But meanwhile, hey, look, it's telling me in the tooltip. So offset in file 1A01A285. 01A285. I'm never going to remember that. 01. Yeah, this is clearly just the actual file because that's the INES header at the start there. 01. A285. Oh, it's just 10 bytes later. Sorry, 16 bytes later. 01A285. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, for example, just to prove that this works. All right, so let's do that, and let's back up. Turn off that break. Okay, so it's blinking black instead of white, so that clearly worked. It's going really slow because it's evaluating all these conditionals. Or possibly because I just have it. But that's not really the point at all. Alright, so back up to there. Oh, it's because we have the trace running. We should have stopped the trace. Here, let's stop the trace. No longer. We may have to try that again in a sec, but anyway, so that confirms our assumption about where that palette is. Now what I would like to do is make it not actually do that copy. So I want to find out where it's invoking our memcopy-ish subroutine from. And so A275, I actually, let's go back to this first conditional because I have more information now. All right. Let's check our, I'm just going to change this back, by the way, so that I remember what I was doing. Oh, hey, look, we can bookmark it. Let's bookmark it. How? How do we bookmark it? Help. This is the same help file I've got in the better window. Hex editor. How do I bookmark, though? I would like to bookmark. Address, bookmarks, frame, or just left click it into this assembly. Oh, address bookmarks, yes. So, A275, right? Right. Offending palette. And is that where I actually expect to be? A275. Well, we just overwrote it, so let's fix that. Oh, I see. Back. I started one late. There we go. Yes, that is exactly where we want to be. Great. So now we've got that bookmark, and it's here too. No, no, apparently not. But let's try anyway. That's frustrating. Like, it kind of feels as though this isn't, well, whatever, here. Regardless, that's sufficient for, like, remembering what it is, so we can look at it later. Oh, I see. No, I guess I don't. Okay. Whatever. Now I want to find out how that pointer gets written to the 0 page. So what I'm going to do is be like, you know what, I'm going to turn the trace on again and try this and see if I can deduce anything by skimming backwards through the trace. Can we clear this? That'd be nice. Whatever, I guess. Start logging. What is our breakpoint? Let's use this one. Okay. And step a little bit forward. I want to go into AOD9, I guess. Right, so now that has done it, and the trace is in a useful state. Okay, so is it the 3030? I'm not sure where you read that value from, Tetra. Probably, if it's what you're looking for. Oh yes, I see the bytes, the actual bytes. So yes, I'll show you how I know that. If I look at the PPU viewer here, as I mouse over each of these colored things, there's a byte up here, which tells me how it's encoded in memory. And I know that this is just a simple indexed color thing. Actually, it might be RGB. I don't remember, but that's not really the point. It's probably indexed because I don't see how 3.0 could be white in RGB. It's been forever, but anyway. So this is 0F. This is 3.0, 3.0, 3.0, 0F, 3.0, 3.0, 3.0. So each of those bytes is, is its own value in the palette. And these are, again, the last 3 of the 4 background palettes in this lower row is the 4 sprite palettes. You're welcome, Facets. You're very welcome. It's a fun challenge, and we're on vacation, and it's obviously it's important for you. So. All right, so hopefully that made sense about the palette. Yes, I was looking for those 4 bytes in sequence repeated twice, and that's how I knew that I had found the right place when I finally found it. But again, I want to find where that copy is invoked from and patch around that call. I feel like there's probably a way to change the input pointer to be the same as what's already there, We can't change the total cycle count, so I guess we can't patch out the call altogether, but we could also change the address that it's copying to, perhaps, or something like that. So it's copying to somewhere that doesn't do anything. So I was looking at the trace. I was attempting to divine order and chaos by staring at it. Yeah, we'll keep the timing constraint in mind with whatever we come up with. Thank you for the reminder there, or I don't know if you intentionally reminded us, but we want to find out where this subroutine is called from, and then we can see exactly. Let's reread the subroutine because I wonder what parameters it takes. I'm just gonna actually maybe make notes into the comments, so as just a fast place to write stuff down. it sure looks to me like X is the value, right, what is? Let's back up and figure out where that X came from. It does something to like 0 the Y register also. I don't see it yet. Oh, good. Here, look. It's showing us all the registers on each row of the trace. That's perfect. So Y goes up to 0A. In fact, it's copying slightly more than we expected. X is counting down. 6, 7, 8. And that's what. Oh, okay, because. Yeah, the other reason we're cautious about overriding it with a fixed color value per what Facets is saying is that different dungeons are different colors. So we would ideally be copying from either like the current dungeon's colors, but that's probably not at a fixed address, so we can't do it. Or like copying to dev null. Either way. Shifts in hue are fine. That's good to know. But it's indexed color, so there's no easy way to make that happen. It's not RGB. It's like there's a lookup table of colors. Yeah, so here finally this is, yeah, it is, of course it's just copying those two things. So X starts at 8. I don't know why Y starts at 3. What's happening there? Excuse us. Yeah, we understand. I mean, we don't think it's a full solution, so. We can definitely go like another step back, and I mean, we're prepared to spend another couple hours on this. It's not a big deal. I mean, you don't have to watch the whole thing unless you want to, but. A27F. Let me double check that. So I feel like A275. It's reading a little bit more. I just want to be completely sure that I have that figured out. Oh, I see. That's the end of it. Yeah, so I don't think it's doing anything with A274 or A273. I think it's really starting here. Alright, so A275 is whatever. We repeat things a lot to ourselves. This is a synchronization mechanism, and we'll refrain from explaining our brain right now because we feel like that would distract from explaining the NES. Water is helpful since we're talking. Sure, and what is LSR? It might be logical shift in one direction or other, but we need to actually check. Logical shift right. Got it. Okay. Oh, that's weird. There's no... Oh, there's different syntax, but whatever. So it just means on the accumulator. Yes, that is exactly what it means. What is ROR then? Rotate right. Fine. Huh, okay, that is what it's doing. Whatever. I'm not going to try to make sense of the assembly things because that's just an infinite number of rabbit holes. Why did they do it this way instead of that way? Probably something to do with sign extending it, but I don't really care. BNE AOCB. So that's what happens because 0 is clear, but like, okay, so I want to know like what set up that 0 page stuff. And I think we're still in the same subroutine probably. I don't think we're actually like out of it yet. But it's copying 8 bytes. And the reason it's copying 8 bytes is because A is 20 here. And shift, what is CLC? Clear carry. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, so so I'm wondering if there's like how could this code be set to like write to nowhere? I guess we would have to. There must be some code before it that is setting up like. In fact, here yeah. Well, okay, so this is specifically a copy into the PPU loop. It's not like generic copy. And so briefly we're trying to, like it's wherever PPU address is set up that we would need to change that. And we can see that that's like not here-ish. So let's scroll back and see what it's doing about PPU address, which is, again, 2009. I had that somewhere. It wasn't here. It was like... to 006, okay. Because the trace view wasn't showing me the symbols. So anywhere that we're writing to 2006 is where we're setting up the address to copy into. And I kind of don't need to even read too much of this code because I can see what's happening. Like... you know what, I did need to check like what address is being written to it though. being written to PPU space 3F09. I'm going to type that in the chat also. If you're watching our screen as we type, you can see just how hard to get used to this new keyboard is. But again, we did that to ourselves. It's a cool keyboard. It'll be worth it when we've learned it. Yeah. Registers. Right, so I'm looking for something that is writing like 3F09 somewhere. I feel like, for example, writing to the sprite palettes instead of the background palettes would do everything we needed to do, assuming that it doesn't leave it in a broken state afterwards. So I was just kind of looking for any store rate 2006. And this is 00, and I'm looking for another one before it, which is yes, but I would wind up at like probably a previous write to the PPU, because like breaking on writing to the palette range is how we got precisely to the copy loop. Breaking on writes to the registers that set up the PPU addresses. It's done from too many places, and it wasn't getting us exactly what we needed. That was how we started out before we had the idea to find the palette address. So we're skimming backwards through. This is a trace of the recently executed instructions and like a lot of state around them. So this is basically helpful. A083, A089, but I don't get that because I feel like, oh, I see. It's telling me the value that was overwritten, which is nonsense because it's not a real memory address. It's a memory mapped register. So that's why this value here is 0. That just doesn't mean anything. So no, this is actually really helpful, Tetra. It forces us to make sure that we understand it instead of going into a loop. So by all means, come up with these suggestions. So 3F08, 3F08. Oh, of course, because even number aligned, but is that really? Like, why did I come up with 3F09 though? Oh, because 3F09 is the white one, the one that actually gets overwritten. The black stays there. That is overwritten with the same value. So it's actually 3F08, which is the output. So presumably, so A is 3F here, and it's 08 here. And I presume that changing it to 18 would make this affect sprite instead. But let's see where that value is coming from. LDA, this is index and direct again. A273, A274. Huh. A272. Okay. So these are the parameters of the copy. A272 byte of A274 number of bytes to copy. But that's weird. It's doing some weird bit manipulation, but that is the number of bytes to copy. I can see because it's the same before and after the weirdness. Whoever's typing was less certain than whoever's talking, and they said maybe, and that's fair. Anyway, A274. So let's change that again. So it's not a huge surprise that this comes from like right before where we were looking before, but you know, there was no way to like a priori guess it, or we could have, but we didn't happen to do that. So here's the data, here's the number of bytes, here's the low. So let's change that value to 1/8 so that we're writing to sprites instead of data. And then we're going to try to be, if that works, we'll try to be content with A1, A2, A3. A1, A2, A3. Help us remember that, or it won't help. But A1, A2, A3. A1, A2, A3. This one. 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's try this again. Back up, open the PPU viewer, and I'm expecting that it will be these sprite palettes down here which are overwritten, and hopefully nothing else will break horribly because the dungeon is being cleared anyway, and hopefully it will be overwritten eventually with like the overworld, but we'll see what happens. Like it kind of looks like this red might be part of the UI or something, so overwriting that might actually turn out bad. May have to figure out another address, but that's fine. So let's hit play. That would be great, except that I didn't see the effect I expected to see either. Also, we neglected to stop the trace, so that used up a lot of CPU on our end. No, trace is stopped. I don't know what happened in that case. None of these are enabled. I don't know what exactly took. Oh, probably this. So here, let's back up and let's single frame. Yeah, so it did. It wrote to the PPU. It wrote what we expected. It does not seem to have broken the UI, which is great. I guess it's these ones here which are doing the like heart and rupee colors. And then great, something copied it back. Something copied like the correct data back, so that means we're not leaving a mess. Okay, so that's that's a single byte patch, and I believe it works. So let's make sure we know exactly what we did. I'm gonna play it at full speed just because that was fun. That was actually really fun, but leave everything else open there. In a few of the frames, the triforce turned white. Agreed, and we can patch around that. Also, probably. I'm guessing that it's less of an issue for facets from previous discussions. It's, how much of their field of vision it is part of the issue. And it's the fact that this is a full screen effect is why we're looking at it to begin with. I think that we could absolutely, as a larger project, it would be kind of awesome to build like a completely epilepsy safe Legend of Zelda. But I think there's a lot of flicker effects in the game that are comparable to the Triforce doing that. So I'm not immediately sure that it's worth working on that right now. But let's back up and hit play. All right. We'll give facets context later. Feel free to convey that to them. So great, that worked. Let's check what this was. No, come back. It was just minimized. It's still there. There it is. Okay, so we're just writing these notes to ourselves that we will take out of the stream. Okay, so those are our notes for ourselves. We are going to stop the stream and declare victory. I think the process of figuring out how to put this into, maybe an IPS file or into the randomizer code or something is like probably less interesting to everybody than the actual debugging. So thank you for watching. It was very motivating. And I hope you learned something. Picking up the Triforce after. Okay, agreed. That leaves the question of, is there any fast way for us to get to the Ganon animation without playing? And we're going to stop now. And yeah, see you around. Did we successfully stop? No, it's still doing it. Why? Oh, that's annoying. Wow, you can tell we're not good at this. Here. Oh, because we're clicking on the wrong... Oh my god, that's mortifying!